4.6 billion years since its creation, the Earth has continued to surprise us with its natural wonders. Great nature, a roller coaster ride of science and exploration.
Amazing scenes of ice forming instantaneously in the frigid sea. This episode takes place on the Russian island of Sakhalin. Ice forms in the waters off of Sakhalin more prodigiously than in the Arctic Ocean. The temperatures here reach minus 30 degrees Celsius. Until now, almost nobody has filmed Sakhalin at its coldest. Incredible scenes of the awesome power of the sea unfold one after another. And the moment sea ice forms will be revealed now for the first time. The location for this episode is the island of Sakhalin. In winter, ice covers up to 15 million square kilometers of the seas in the northern hemisphere. The southernmost area among that mass of ice lies off the shores of Sakhalin. Sakhalin is located near 50 degrees north. It lies on nearly the same latitude as London or Paris. Every winter, a tremendous amount of ice is formed here. First, let's observe an awesome phenomenon that typifies the sea off of Sakhalin. The crew heads for the large peninsula that juts out from the southern part of the island. For the last leg of the trip, the team has to transfer to snowmobiles. Actually, this entire area lies on the surface of the sea. Around Sakhalin, the whole sea freezes over. They're now 3 kilometers from the edge of the land. Here and there, mounds of ice can be seen. They testify to the power of the sea surrounding Sakhalin. Let's have a closer look. These large knolls are comprised of thick blocks of ice. They're called grounded hummocks in geological terms. The blocks can be 50 centimeters thick. Seemingly stacked on each other by a crane, they make for eerie configurations. The hummock rises over 4 meters high. Some hummocks are enormous. These great mounds of ice are formed by the sheer power of nature. To better understand how awesome these ice mounds are, a hole is dug into the ice. The crew begins drilling and digging. It takes an hour for 5 men to reach water. At last, they're ready to start filming. Now the sea will reveal its immense power. Surprisingly, there are thick blocks of ice that are packed even more closely together under the seawater. These blocks are well over 50 centimeters thick. They're densely layered and stacked, forming huge ice formations that extend 7 meters deep. Looking closer, it can be seen that the ice blocks are stacked not only horizontally, but vertically and at oblique angles as well. This configuration shows that great quantities of ice have been constantly formed near this area and been swept here. These satellite images capture how these ice sheets develop and grow. In early December, ice begins to form near the mouth of the Amur River. A few weeks later, ice starts forming off the coast of Sakhalin. In February, the creation of new ice reaches its peak. The large ice mounds we saw earlier are here. Where was this ice formed? Here, in the Terpenia Bay. The huge amount of ice produced in the Terpenia Bay rapidly flows south toward the northern coast of Hokkaido, Japan. Just how is this ice produced? The team goes to Terpenia Bay. Every year, a massive amount of ice is formed in these waters. It doesn't seem as if large amounts of ice could be formed here. However, data show that a huge mass of ice is formed here once every 3 days in the winter. In order to learn what weather conditions are necessary for the sea to freeze, the crew visits a local weather observation station, which monitors the ice daily in Terpenia Bay.
Conditions for ice to form are, first, a day when the wind is weak and the temperature is low. Ice forms when the temperature is 10 to 15 degrees below zero over consecutive days, or suddenly drops to 30 below.
The crew decides to make a base camp at one corner of the bay and wait for the very moment when sea ice forms. Sea ice forms either in the early morning or the early evening when the temperature drops sharply. They set out 1 hour before sunrise. It takes them 20 minutes to reach the filming location. They quickly measure the temperature.
-30.9 度.
It's not windy today, making the conditions perfect. What is the surface of the sea like? There is a little ice on it. It's mushy, like sherbet. On the afternoon of the same day, the surface of the sea at last changes. A strip of water changes color and texture. Tiny icy particles are forming a long band. A small camera is used to see what it looks like underwater. Small particles are glittering in the water. They're called freezal ice crystals. When the sea freezes, a process starts. First, water with hardly any salinity freezes. These crystals of fresh water are freezal ice. They glitter and flash brightly, like a cloud of diamonds. The freezal crystals gradually begin to bond and accumulate, floating to the surface. As they flow upward, the surface of the sea takes on a completely different texture. This is called grease ice. It's just born infant ice, so to speak. As soon as it's been formed, it gets carried further out to sea by winds and currents. Mixing and overlapping again and again, it quickly becomes thicker. The ice of Sakhalin is formed through this incredible natural process. Those thick blocks forming the majestic ice mounds all started from these tiny ice crystals, less than 5 millimeters in diameter.
Great Nature, a program that explores the mysterious and magical wonders of the Earth, pushing the boundaries to get up close and personal. Each episode highlights a world of surprises, volcanoes, caverns, atmospheric phenomena, and much more.
Huge masses of ice are formed in the winter when seawater freezes. This sea ice plays an important role in preventing global warming. Recent research has shown that this kind of sea ice is formed in a very few number of places. winter, ice covers the oceans on a massive scale. Most of it centers on the Arctic Ocean in the northern hemisphere. Most of the ice that plays an important function in keeping the Earth cool is produced in a very few areas. These regions where these natural sea ice factories exist are called Polinia in Russian, which means open sea. Even so, despite the fact Sakhalin lies in lower latitudes and not in the open sea, why is there so much ice produced here? Scientists say 3 global-scale factors are at work in this case. First, an atmospheric phenomenon. The temperature over Russia's inland areas often falls well below freezing. The whole region is dominated by the Siberian high-pressure zone. The high-pressure belt pushes large masses of cold air southeastward, rapidly cooling the water in the Sea of Okhotsk, which surrounds Sakhalin. Second is the unique topography of the seabed of the coast of Sakhalin. Since the Sea of Okhotsk spreads out from the edge of the continent, the water's very shallow. When the surface of the water is cooled, convection occurs. Because of the water's shallow depth, it is easier for the entire sea area to cool down. The third factor is the East Sakhalin Current. It flows from the north down along the coast of Sakhalin. This current brings huge amounts of very cold seawater. These 3 phenomena miraculously converge every year on Sakhalin to produce huge masses of ice. The search is on to record the miraculous moment when sea ice is born. The film crew decides to take on the challenge of a world filming first. They'll try to capture something that even the residents of Sakhalin have almost never encountered. Here at Terpenia Bay, where the sea stretches as far as the eye can see, an astonishing phenomenon occurs when patches of the sea are suddenly covered with ice. Accompanying the crew is Anatoly Polomoshnov, who has been researching the sea ice around Sakhalin for over 30 years. Even Dr. Polomoshnov has seen this phenomenon of the sea suddenly icing over only once before.
The phenomenon of the ice suddenly forming right in front of you can rarely be seen. You'll be very lucky if you can see it.
It's 7:30 in the morning. The challenge of capturing that miraculous moment on camera for the first time ever is about to begin. The temperature is over 15 degrees below zero. The wind isn't very strong. The rising sun peeks over the horizon. The air temperature suddenly drops. This is the moment when it's easiest for ice to form. On the surface of the water, ever so slightly, ice begins forming. Everyone hopes the water will suddenly turn to ice. But regrettably, what they were hoping to see doesn't appear. Just before the sun goes down that day, the crew tries again, but it's very windy, making it nearly impossible for ice to form. The next morning, the crew takes up the challenge again, but this time they move to a different location. They head to a spot near the mouth of the river, where a lot of fresh water flows into the sea. Dr. Polomoshnov has told them that ice can more easily form in places where fresh water flows into the sea. The temperature is more than 15 degrees below zero, perfect for ice.
ほとんどないですね。風速大体3メーター。
The strength of the wind also doesn't seem to be a problem.
At dawn, the air temperature falls to its lowest, and I think the wind will get weaker.
But the miracle they were hoping to find doesn't happen that morning either. That morning, as the sun rose, the sky was covered with clouds, so there was no quick cooling, and the air temperature didn't drop enough. Meanwhile, an unexpected phenomenon occurred in the waters offshore.
これは何だろう。わかります？
Off on the horizon, something that looks like a wall of ice appears. This is an optical phenomenon. This ice mirage occurs when warm air flows over the surface of the sea. With each passing day as spring approaches, the sea off the coast of Sakhalin has less and less of a chance of icing over. Growing impatient, the film crew takes a different approach. So far, they've been filming on the east side of Terpenia Bay. They now decide to move to the west side of the bay. A continuous stream of cold air flows into it from the mainland of Sakhalin. Since the wind blows along the mountains on the east and west sides of the island, there's a very good chance that ice will form in the waters on the western edge of the island. It started at 7:30 in the morning on the final day of the shooting schedule.
やべえ、綺麗だ。
At 8 a.m., a vapor-like cloud billows over the sea right in front of them. It's called sea smoke. Sea smoke is produced only when it's extremely cold and there's almost no wind. It's like a sign that all the conditions are set for the formation of sea ice. Just after that, it appears. What they've been waiting for finally happens. With a closer look at the surface of the sea, the Frazel ice crystals can be seen. The ice is carried out to the sea, the ice sheets growing ever bigger by the moment. Countless numbers of ice crystals are created instantaneously. As they grow and congeal, they form ice sheets, which get carried out to sea. It's just a little over 3 hours. The surface of the sea is entirely covered with a layer of ice. Here's the miracle of the birth of sea ice. But this amazing process still isn't complete. The ice has started moving, just like a living creature. Now, all the ice is moving steadily toward the shore. Why is this happening? One theory has it that the strong current running along the coast of Sakhalin is the culprit. Another says that it's because of polar winds. But the exact reason still hasn't been figured out. In the waters off of Sakhalin, tons of ice are produced every year. It's created by a miraculous convergence of different physical phenomena. This sea ice plays a major role in the health of our planet.
NHK World TV from Japan.